Now this is starting over, so I guess this is part two, and I'll still try to keep it under my allotted time because there were a few things I had written down on my teaching style that I wanted to go over with kids. There's a thing in education called differentiated education. It means you're allowed to do different things in the same class. Someone might be over there working on class outlines. Someone over here might be working on flight simulator. Someone's doing 3D home architect over here. And someone else is drawing by hand or doing drafting. While maybe someone else is working in the wood shop. Okay? One of the things I feel bad about at the middle school level here is you can take this class for a semester. This morning I met with the high school teachers, and I met with Mr. Frazier, the metals. I mean, he does an awesome job welding, metal art, Newhouse, woods, and then my wife marketing, Mrs. Denton marketing, Mrs. Romsberg, FCCLA, and home ec. Okay, so you got all these other things that we're trying to I'm trying to just make this like an exploratory where you can explore what you want to do, and I try to cover a little bit of every one of those. The one that I probably lack the most of is the home ec. Okay, but I thought I'm going to even expand that where we're going to start doing a little cooking. Okay, where people bring in some maybe cookie dough or something. And they got to do, Sebastian, you're really bothering me. Okay? I got to start over now. Okay, part 3. In here, I'll try to give you a chance to explore all these different things. Differentiated education, that's what it's all about. I want to mention something. I try to make every day a good day in here. I have good days just like you do, and I have bad days just like you do. And I can remember my high school shop teacher saying, don't judge me on any one single one of those days because you don't know what's happening to me with my family, with my other job, this or that. His name was Mr. Rios, and I remember him saying that, and I always thought, wow, they're real people too? I try to make it a good day. I can be a jerk. I choose to not be because all that got me was high blood pressure and anger management classes. Okay, so I try to make it fun for you where you want to be here. But if you're not doing your part, it won't be that way. I told my volleyball players that yesterday. I coached football for 14 years. I can be tough. I can be a jerk. I can make you run till you puke. I choose to not do that. But I can do that, and usually it's your behavior that dictates that. Okay? You know what I mean by that? Do good, I'll do good. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. It's one of those lifelong lessons you might learn. The other thing I was going to say about my teaching style, I've been to a lot of different companies. In fact, we tour in Portland, Oregon. We go over and we tour Nike World Headquarters. We tour Adidas U.S. Headquarters, also located there in Beaverton, Oregon. Wieden+Kennedy, the world's largest independent ad agency, and Microsoft. And every one of those companies, I try to take one thing that I think is kind of interesting that they do and say, I like the fact that they do things a little different this way. I don't have as much flexibility as they do. Like at Nike, they say, sometime during the day, you must get up and take an hour to go exercise. Sometime during your workday, I think that's a pretty good idea. Nike, their emphasis is athletics. They pay you to do that. They say sometime during the day, take an hour and go up to the weight room, work out, go out and run, get on your bike, go swimming. They have soccer matches going on out there, and you're like, you guys working right now? And they're, oh yeah. Yeah, they encourage us to get out and exercise at least an hour a day, and we all feel better afterwards. And I think, man, I just think, I like thinking outside the box like that. Okay? Some of them aren't as easy as that, like Wieden+Kennedy, the ad agency that pretty much pilfered my concept on my hoop pitch thing, which is another long story. I try to not hold grudges, but I don't like them. They allow their employees to bring their animals to work, their pets to work. You walk through there, and people got their dog, cat, bird, and they got some pretty cool concepts. It's a really cool building. In fact, I always try to get people to tour that. Last year they said we don't have enough people to tour, to take you on a tour. And so they said we're not doing tours anymore. We're not staffed big enough. So I called back and I said, my name is Paul Carey. I'm president of whopitch.com. I'd like to consider doing some advertising and marketing with you guys. Can you give me a tour? They said, oh yeah. When do you want a tour? And then they said, we'll give you a tour. And I thought, that's interesting. Just 10 minutes ago, they said they didn't have enough people to take me on a tour. And it was kind of funny because I said, oh, and by the way, I want to bring a few students. And they said, oh, we can bring you, but we can't bring the students. So what's kind of funny about that is I went there and I was talking to the secretary, and I had a group of kids that really wanted to tour Wieden+Kennedy. And we'll watch some of Wieden+Kennedy's best ads. They have some real good, neat concept ads. And I was waiting for the person to come down and give me the tour. As I was there with these students, there was like probably 5 or 6 of them. And this lady is telling her daughter, who they didn't have school that day, she's going, hey, you know, daughter, go play around in the building or something, and basically get out of here. I'm working. And I said, actually, would your daughter mind taking my students on a little visit, a little tour of the building? And she said, no, she'd love to do that. I have a girl now that's in high school that her objective in life is to work at Wieden+Kennedy ad agency in Portland. I love that place. She wants to work there. They write ads, they do commercials. Some of their clients are Nike, Microsoft, Wieden+Kennedy, Career Builder, Starbucks, Target, and they make commercials for them. And she says, that's what I want to do. So anyways, then the other one, like Microsoft, they have some cool concepts that they call it a campus as well. We will talk more about this later, but I just kind of wanted to touch on those, and I'm going to stop unless I'm looking at my notes here. When I do this, I sit there and look at my notes and go, did I miss anything? Yes, I did. Hearing and listening. Did you know they're 2 different things? Sometimes you can't help but hearing me because I'm a loudmouth, and when I talk, my sound waves come over and they intercept your eardrum, which works like a speaker in reverse, and it sends a signal to your brain. That's hearing, a physical act. Listening is when you decide to do something with it. Like I look around right now, and if some people aren't listening, I guarantee you every one of you can hear me unless you're deaf. But listening is a different thing. You should know there's a big difference. When I do these tapes and I do these recordings, sometimes I go just for fun on Friday, let's just have a little quiz and say, did you listen to me or were you just hearing me? Okay? And I think it's interesting that I word a quiz where I think I want you to do well on it. Like if I say, list 3 companies I talked about and name the companies I talked about that I said I try to model my classroom after. Raise your hand if you could name 2 or 3 of the companies I talked about that I just said I try to kind of make my, okay. Now raise your hand if you could tell me the name of my shop teacher that, yes? Ooh, you're close. Rios, who is now my brother's boss in Alaska. My brother teaches what I teach in Alaska, and when teachers sometimes retire, they go on and they take like a administrative position. He's my brother's boss, who my brother teaches what I teach in Alaska. He came down, he was an elementary teacher, and he loved doing the stuff that we do, the drafting, computer-aided drafting, all this interactive stuff. And I said, why don't you teach that? And he said, I don't know, I didn't go to college for that. And I said, well, you could still apply for the job, and if they don't have anyone that did go to college for it, they find someone else that just has a real interest in that. So he came down, spent a week with me of his spring break, learned to do what I do here, and now he teaches it up in Alaska, and he loves it. He said, that was my favorite part of my classes, when I got to build something with the kids. And he says, now that's what I get to do all day. And he's built 3 airplanes with his students. He's built some really cool stuff. When they built a new school, they said, You can be the teacher, this new school, brand new, equip it the way you want. And he said, what is my budget? And they said, you have no budget. My budget at Lincoln here is $2,000 a year. My wife's budget at the high school is $87,000 a year. When he got his new school, they said, you have no budget. Get what you want. And he said, really? And they said, yep, you have no budget. 20 flight simulators with yoke, with rudders, with, you know, he's got some nice stuff. So, anyways, you do what you love and love what you do. Class is ended. Go in peace.